What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Ghost of Yotei, and I think that's how you say it. Watched a variety of different pronunciations. If you guys have a better way of saying it or the correct way, you can, of course, let me know in the comments or mock me, whatever you want to do. But the game was announced, and to be honest, without it, this state of play would have been another weak one. I don't think it was the worst thing we've ever seen, but definitely this thing helped it out. So in this video, I want to do a few different things, kind of just give you my raw, emotion, seeing it in 2025 and things like that. But also there was a PlayStation blog post and it went over an okay amount, kind of explained the reasoning, right? Because kind of the first thing to discuss is this is not Jin Sakai, this is somebody else, right? That is correct. It's a new character, new time period, right? This is 300 plus years after Ghost of Tsushima. So to make it clear for any, just randomly clicking on what do we know about this specific game, obviously different character. I have a feeling you're going to be able to use animals. That's something that's kind of interesting that we get to see from the trailer. But Jin Sakai, if there was ever any hope that you're going to get him in any way, the man is long dead. He is quite literally a ghost, but not, not in the way that we kind of knew him of in the first game. So, that's something I do want to talk about in this video. But first, let's jump over and let's talk about this blog post. Okay, so Ghost of Yotei is coming in 2025. Today, and this is from Andrew Goldfarb, a long-time, IGN Podcast Beyond member back in the day. Glad to see him doing these kind of things. Today, we are so happy to announce Ghost of Yotei, the latest game from Sucker Punch, and the introduction of our new hero, Atsu. And I'm going to, maybe Atsu, I'll call her kind of a mix of those two until somebody tells me how to say it. When we set out to make a new Ghost game, we wanted to maintain the core pillars established in Ghost of Tsushima, playing as a wandering warrior in feudal Japan, offering freedom to explore at your own pace and highlighting the beauty of the world. We also wanted to continue to innovate to create something fresh but familiar, so we looked beyond Jin Sakai's story and the island of Tsushima and shifted our focus to the idea of the ghost instead. At Sucker Punch, we love origin stories, and we wanted to explore what it could mean to have a new hero wearing a ghost mask and uncovering a new legend. This led us to this game, a new protagonist, a new story, and a new region. While we aren't diving into specifics, this journey takes place in 1603, more than 300 years after the events of Tsushima. Our story is set in the lands surrounding Mount Yotei, a towering peak in the heart of Etso, an area of Japan known as Hokkaido in present day. In 1603, this area was outside the rule of Japan and filled with sprawling grasslands, snowy tundras, and unexpected dangers. It's a far cry from the organized samurai clans who lived in Tsushima, and it's setting for the original story. We can't wait to tell. This is also Sucker Punch's first game built from the ground up for the PS5, and we're excited to build on the visual foundation we established in Ghost of Tsushima by making the world feel even more real. We have massive sightlines that let you look far across the environment, whole new skies featuring twinkling stars and auras, even more believable moments from wind on grass and vegetation, and more improvements we'll share in the future. Our new setting also gives us the opportunity to introduce new mechanics, gameplay improvements, and even new weapons. Our trailer today offers a glimpse into this world, but there's so much more to show, and we'll have more to share in the months ahead, including details about Atsu's journey and the people and animals she'll meet along the way. We are forever grateful for the success of Ghost of Tsushima, and we can't wait for you all to experience Ghost of Yotei in 2025. It felt really good. And I said it in the live stream, to see Sucker Punch's logo, Sly Cooper, infamous, it'll always resonate me actually going back to Sly. It's a powerful logo, but it's been long. It's been a long time. And, I gotta say, I am so freaking excited. Can I just throw it out there? I really am. And I think, we'll talk about the Jin stuff in a second, but that trailer got me hyped. That trailer, it brings you back into that ghost world. And I think that's kind of, what they're getting at a little bit in this PlayStation blog, where it felt familiar, and at the same time, especially because it's oh, who's this person wearing a mask? And I saw her fingernails at one point in the trailer early on, and I was like, that's a girl. That's not Jin. And then you start to kind of piece things together, and it's it still felt familiar while also kind of having that mystery. And thinking back to the trailers of the first Ghost of Tsushima, the reveal, the release date, they were also longer. They were 3, 4, or 5 minute long trailers. This is very much up that alley. But I'm just pumped. And for it to come out in 2025, we've been saying that. I've been predicting that for a long time. I think you look at Spider-Man, you look at God of War, Horizon, I guess, the average is around 5 years. Some of these PlayStation teams, some of them have been like stranded because like Naughty Dog got into the mess with the Last of Us multiplayer and all that jazz. But, it seems to take from an established game, from Ghost to Ghost 2, from God of War 2018 to Ragnarok, from Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2, from Horizon Zero Dawn to Forbidden West, all of them are roughly within 5 years. Some maybe like a month or two short. Maybe I think God of War was like 5.5 years. So somewhere in that range. So Ghost 2, like I'm going to keep calling it that at least for short because it is Ghost 2. It's just not Ghost of Tsushima 2, right? But Ghost 2, like, July was Ghost 1, July 2020. Great, infamous year, really crazy year, right? Could we get that in July or August? I don't think it'll be July. Normally games don't really come out that time. So I'm probably thinking like late summer, early fall. But then you got to start thinking about like GTA and the other 2025 games. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. And, then when it comes to the protagonists, look, I'm willing to give them it. And I saw a tweet like immediately after this stuff, and I was saying in my live stream, like, I think there's going to be like a culture war, if you want to call it. I mean, I know that that terminology has become very cringe, but, I think there's going to be a war online, just the fact that she's a girl. I mean, at this point, I'm absolutely willing to give this to Sucker Punch, and I was thinking about this right after I ended the live stream. I want to float this out to you guys. Let me know what you think about it. This shouldn't be all that surprising for a couple of reasons, right? Well, number one, Jin's story was told. Now, I've always, led on, and, we've done the research, and there's historians, like, much more knowledgeable than me. There was a second invasion of the island of Tsushima. I think it was a smaller one, wasn't as much of a big deal. I mean, it still was. There's still history written on it, but technically, in terms of the actual history, you could have done something. I think it was within 5-10 years after the first game, there was another invasion. So his story did end, and I think it ended nicely, and we're going to get into kind of almost like an anthology thing that I think they could be doing. We'll get to that in a second, but, besides the fact that that historically you could have done it, I do think his story made sense to end it. So I'm not, if they ended on like a cliffhanger, I would be much more upset than I am right now, right? I think it's just, like, for me, honestly, it's almost like a shock because I kind of did think it was going to be Ghost of Tsushima 2. And I thought it was going to be with Jin. And that's okay. For me, right now, it's okay that it's not. It's just, it almost kind of caught me by surprise. I almost kind of have to process, like, how I'm feeling about that, right now. Now, another thing to kind of remember, and this is what I thought of right after the live stream, this should not surprise you, and this should not surprise me. When it comes to Sucker Punch, they've pulled this before, and I think they've pulled it worse before in Infamous. Infamous 2, I'm not going to spoil it. I know it's a little bit of an old game, but, Infamous 2, and the way it ended, and the way that Cole ended, did not have to go that way, and I don't really think they should have done Delsin. In fact, that's kind of, that might be the negative here, right? They have pulled this before, and I think they pulled it in a bad way. I like Second Son, but I wouldn't say it's as good as Infamous 1 or 2, at least in my opinion, or at least 2. 2 is kind of the crown jewel, but also just the character of going from Cole to Delsin, I don't think was the right choice. I don't like that they just dropped one for the other in the way that they did it. So it's something to remember in the fact that they have done it before, so I shouldn't be surprised. But then now the more that I think about it, it's like, well, for me personally, it wasn't done for the better. It was done for the, not like massively worse, but it wasn't done for the better in my opinion. So I'm willing to give it to him. I think you just have to nail what Ghost of Tsushima is. And I actually like that, Andrew Goldfarb about, he starts it out kind of talking about what Ghost of Tsushima is. And, like, that's the stuff, obviously we're going to get excited for the characters. We're going to get excited for the story, and we'll talk about all that stuff leading in. But, it is also about that environment and the way they could guide you from one place to the next. He talks about, like, wind on things in this game. And, those are important as well. And things like the story and characters, obviously they're not going to spoil until they feel, confident with that stuff. So, yeah, for me, I get it. Like, I think there is a shock going from Jin to her. I get that. I understand that. But I'm not willing to say, oh, the game's screwed now because it's that. I absolutely need to see more before I say, oh, Sucker Punch is screwed. Like the studio's done for. They win all this, they went this different direction, right? I'm not willing to say that now, literally at all. I just think it's a shock to go from one to the next, especially when I didn't think they were going to. But there you go. Add this, I mentioned this on Twitter, 2025, guys. Let me tell you something. 2025 is massive. Huge Game of the Year contenders from beginning to end of the GTA GTAs, the Marvel 1943, Ghost of Tsushima, Doom, so many more. It's going to be a big year. It really is. And I'll be here to cover all these games, but specifically Ghost of Tsushima because I am a big fan of the series. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.